I'm sure people will let you know.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So I believe we are live. Amazing stuff.
Cool.
Hi everyone. It's Archie here from the QTube. Back for another feedback session on one of the QTube Patreon clips. Today we're joined by Mike Ladisser, composer and teacher at the Royal College of Music. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, Mike?
Sure. First off, Archie, well done because you pronounced my name correctly and one of the very few.
Yeah, great.
Um, so yeah, I'm a composer, educator. So Archie mentioned I teach at Royal College of Music. I also teach a bit up at Cambridge University. I've been teaching for 5 or 6 years now at kind of university level, teaching film scoring curriculum. Um, and aside from that, I work freelance. I work in film, TV, games. I'm pretty easy to find online. So you can look me up on Spotify, on YouTube. You can find some of my stuff. But yeah.
Great, yeah. Mike also has a course, which we'll send a link to in the description. But like he's got such great knowledge. Like even just having conversations with him, I've learned so much. So definitely check that
Thank you.
course out. But yeah, we're gonna get straight into the video, I think. And I'm gonna bring up the first clip, which is from someone called Trafera Recordings. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah.
You got my name right, so that's
Yeah.
good. We're off to a good start.
We're off to a good start. Okay, here we go. Great. Let me share this on Zoom. Share sound. Cool. Mike, let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah, I can.
Excellent.
Hear and see it.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna mute myself while we watch this back.
Cool.
Oops.
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Great.
Cool. Very nice job.
Yeah, good job. I mean, that one had a very strong theme, I'd say. Melodically, it was really nice. It kind of gave me, it brought me back to Westworld competition a little bit with that kind of like 8-bitty synth type sound, but I actually liked that. So it was a cool take on like a classic trailer where you would usually use like a hybrid orchestral type thing. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think it's definitely I think it's a great start on this. I think structurally you've got it spotted really well. So I think like where the different moments where you're kind of changing the music structurally, I think that's perfectly laid out. The reason I say a great kind of start is I think that in each of these sections you could probably expand it quite a bit more. So I think like the initial idea and like the melody and the framework is all there. but maybe just making the arrangement a bit more full.
Yeah, definitely.
So like
Yeah.
if you listen to trailer tracks, you'll notice, I mean, trailer tracks are often kind of like the pinnacle of production. It's
Yeah.
especially in this like hybrid orchestral where you get these really big, full arrangements of stuff. And what helps make that sound so full is not just doubling lots of instruments and kind of like making something very loud, but it's having lots of different layers to what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
with this, I think like from the beginning, where you have a bit of this ambience, you could start to have little bits of, we call them like ear candy, like little sounds that come up here and there that you might use just once.
Yeah.
And it just pulls the attention away for a moment so that your melody can draw our attention back. And then behind that, there's so much you could do with like distance using reverb and with panning. So if you can kind of create little sounds that sort of scatter across the back from left to right, or little bits with like some delay that's moving side to side, those things can be super effective. Once you
Yeah.
start combining a couple of those, it's like, wow, the whole thing has so much movement to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for like this kind of thing, I have like maybe like 10 just synth like drones in the background panned different ways and with different amounts of reverb and stuff, just to like give it that like space that isn't, instantly, you don't notice that it's there, but if you took it away, you realize how thin it is without it, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's one exercise that we have at the college is to do a sound alike. I think it's a great exercise where you try to take a track and transcribe not just the melody and the chords, but really try to transcribe the production.
Yeah.
So try to recreate a track and make it sound like A/B comparison to the original. And it's very difficult because you're obviously not working with the same tools, the same instruments and stuff like that. So it's a really tough job, but I think that's a great exercise to see like just how full an arrangement is in something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
Definitely. But
yeah, really good work.
Yeah, I think so too. With in terms of everything's there. It just needs lifting, with a bit of ear candy, like you said. But yeah, good work, Trafera Recordings. Great.
Cool, very nice.
We're on to our next person, who is Andrew Alexander. So I'll bring this up. Share screen. Share sound. Cool.
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Cool. Nice work on that.
Yeah, I think so. I really like the kind of like reversed vocal effect. That was cool. And like we were talking about with the kind of like ear candy, you could hear it just with like I think it was just like a descending piano theme just going in the background, and then there was like a kind of growly synth thing that just layers that you don't even notice. I think that vocal sound kind of built it quite well, but we could have been introduced to a new theme when the tempo sped up, I think we could have been introduced into something new. But yeah, it was used really well, that sound.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think you're sort of ripe to introduce some new material at that point. But I think because you've built such a good foundation to kind of get us there. So I think what you
Exactly.
did really well is to like within each section of the structure, again, I think really well spotted.
Hmm.
I think it's very clear kind of how you bring us through it musically. But then even within those substructures, you're have a bit of evolution within the arrangement. So like after 4 bars of an idea, then it starts to evolve and you might introduce another layer. So I think you could do a little bit more of the same, like a little more ear candy, that kind of stuff here and there to make it a bit more full. But I think like what Archie suggested, sort of the power of bringing in like a top line melody in
Yeah.
that big climactic moment, that can really help lead it through. And you could also consider just a little bit more variety. One thing I was thinking is like when the drums come in, just a really simple trick is you could put an EQ, like kind of a low pass filter on it. And even if you only open it over the course of like 8 bars from, say like 1,000 to 1,500 hertz,
Yeah.
then it's just this very slow, gradual line. So those drums will be kind of changing their timbre just a little bit over that whole thing, and it will help give a little bit more to that build.
Yeah, it's like the idea, it kind of like feels like it's getting louder and more intense, but it's actually, you can just feel it growing through
Yeah.
the frequencies. Okay, cool.
Cool,
Great
nice
one, Andrew. Yeah, really loved that vocal sound. That was really nice. Next one we've got is Joe Francis. We've got some good ones. Definitely, like you said, really well spotted. Yeah, let's have a look at this. Joe Francis.
Talk. Talk fast.
Who first?
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Wow, plenty of ear candy in that one, I think.
Yeah, cool. Good job.
Yeah, lots of different melodic ideas going on, and arrangement ideas. I love this. In the middle section, there was like strings moving between your right ear and your left ear. That was really nice. Anything you pick up on, Mike, that you?
Yeah, I think is really well produced. What I think with this one that sort of jumps out at me is that it's a lot of different ideas, but they aren't always super connected or very fluid. So I think that would be the main thing to work on with this one is really trying to kind of lead one idea into the other. Otherwise, it can sound like it's sort of edited together from a few different tracks, which is typically actually how trailers are made.
Yeah.
But the music editors who would put them together is they're choosing from things that are very similar, or they're creating really fluid transitions between them. So that's the main thing I'd say, because you've got this sort of theme in the horn, And obviously, the payoff point for that you're aiming for is the kind of title card when we see that. So I know you hint at it a bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you could think of also subtle ways to like, how can I give us a little bit so that when we get to that and I play it really big, that can be the payoff moment. So I think that's the main focus of this one, is really just
Yeah.
focusing more on like transitions and fluidity from one section to the other.
Yeah, I mean, transitions are like the hardest part of composing, I think, or, you know, a way to like finding a middle ground between your different ideas is sometimes really hard to get. I'd also say just like production wise, for me, the music was mixed a bit like hot compared to the dialogue. And I think actually, if you'd given it a step back a little bit, it would have, you know, not taken over as much, and you know, it wouldn't have been so jarring when the different ideas are presented. But
yeah, I think on that point too, you can think of like in your arrangement, trying to kind of avoid those frequencies of where the dialogue is sitting.
Yeah.
And here's just something like just a film music tip in general. I find that, you know, like a lot of people wonder why film music tends to be so wet, like why it tends to have a lot more reverb than like concert music or something like that. And the reason I think is because it has to sit behind dialogue. So we use reverb to create distance.
Yeah.
So if you make something a bit more wet to begin with, it's already sitting behind the dry dialogue. And so it's easier to make it sit in the dub.
yeah,
So just something to keep in mind.
yeah, definitely. Nice. Well, great ideas coming so far.
Yeah, nice job, Joe.
Here we've got one from someone called Eyeless, which I think maybe the 5 is meant to be an S, so it's like Silas. That seems, you know, like a composery thing to do.
Or EDM producery thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, let me share my screen for this. Got a million tabs open. Here we go. Great.
Talk. Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997. I was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 lives. Enough of the risk.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Sorry, I've got.
Oh, Archie, I think you're muted.
Cool.
There we go.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah, nice job.
Do you want to start us off on that one? You know,
Sure.
ideas?
Yeah, so cool. I think one thing to be a little cautious of, I think, is like at the beginning, there's a bit of this slightly hesitant accelerando in the percussion. And so I think something like that, like one, an accelerando that could be like a very bold move.
Yeah.
And bold in the sense that it draws a lot of attention to itself and can draw away from the picture. So especially at like the very intro of a trailer, where I think we want to kind of, that's the chance for exposition. It might be easier to just sort of establish like a clear pattern, and let the drums just be maybe a little bit more sparse in that.
Yeah.
So I think that could help. And then the theme itself, I think, could be it's good and it's useful. What I think might get more of the idea that I think you're going for is maybe making it a little bit darker rather than the moment it sounds almost a little tragic in a way. So one thing you could think about is maybe a slightly darker kind of palette, like maybe low strings doing that with low brass. And I think just making sure that that is really clear how it fits together with the drum pattern. So for me, like I'm historically a string player, and percussion was always a struggle for me. And I think for a lot of people that don't come from a percussion background, they feel kind of like, I definitely felt this way, like you're an imposter when you're, creating percussion tracks and stuff like that. It
I
feels
feel
like,
that way
I don't
too.
know, I want to make like a cool beat, can I just, maybe I'll do like odd fills and odd rhythms. Is that how it's done? And so I struggled with that for a long time. And then the thing with percussion that I realized is it's not just that it's less is more, it's that I need to know what the pattern is. And
Yeah.
so if you spend more time like really establish what that pattern is, that's when fills make sense. Or when you upset that pattern, that's when it makes sense because I know what it's in reference to.
Yeah.
So I think really understand like how does your beat function with your melody.
Yeah.
And I think that will help really gel the two together. So maybe look at those like away from picture, just as a piece of music, and then bring it back, and it will probably just sit right over the top.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, when I edited this, because I edited the video together, and from that point of view, it was sort of like, with the trailer, right? The aim is to get people to watch the film. You want to bring them in instantly, and you want them to be as comfortable as possible as soon as possible. So to have something that is like quite safe rhythmically and harmonically, that's basically what you want at especially at the beginning of the trailer. So totally agree. Same with the theme. I agree. Kind of like tragic or a bit like too heroic. Maybe just I think having like a few main instruments, like you said, low strings, perhaps some like double bass or cello down there really sits nicely at the beginning of a trailer, to like with the idea to grow it and then present the themes and that idea. But from an edit point of view, it was like grab the attention straight away and then release it when she opens her eyes, and like then grow it from there slowly, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trailer is really well edited together as far as like the structure of a trailer. And so
Yes.
when you think about like what's a typical trailer track, like the structure of it is you typically have four parts. There's an intro, a build up, a climax, and then an outro.
Yeah.
And so with that, you can think about like where are those points in the edit, and then how can you kind of separate those with your music and try to establish like what that is on its own musically, and then it's really just transitions.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite interesting to edit actually with like, it was like I was doing like writing for production music. That's kind of what you do when you like write different sections in production music and stuff like that. I was kind of doing that in reverse. Like I was doing the edit part of like I knew how to write the music, but I was doing it backwards, like taking it right down to the first step. So yeah, it was but yeah, I mean there's like a formula, isn't there, for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And when like if you're writing trailer tracks, like those are typically written away from picture. You know, they're written
yeah,
like library tracks. And so another big thing that helps with transitions is creating editable points. So
yeah,
like often there's two or three measures between like the intro and the build up or the build up and the climax. That's like one is sort of tailing off with reverb and then the other is like a riser into the downbeat
yeah,
because those make it really easy to edit them together.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. Cool. Well, we're on to our last little review piece. So I had a brief check out of this one. This one I thought was pretty cool. So right, let me share this.
Talk. Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you?
No. You may have changed the future, but you didn't change our fate.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean,
I think you're muted again, Archie.
yep. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is from someone called Anthony Varano. I don't know if that was like sampled vocals at the start, or if they had someone record that, or if they recorded that themselves. That was really cool. Also, this one was very like soundscapey, in my opinion. Like there was no like formula like we described in the last one, but to me, it still kind of worked. Not having specific sections, but letting the kind of like trailer speak for itself in a way.
Yeah, I think this is a cool approach. And it's also not atypical to have like a song, or a kind of like remix version of a song for a trailer. So I think I really like the beginning. I think it starts strong and having that vocal in the intro while we also don't really have any dialogue.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of where that works. Um, I was feeling like it was missing a little bit with kind of like without like a build up or a climax
yeah, energy
for
wise.
it. Because
Yeah,
I think it doesn't necessarily have to meet that structure for the trailer, but I think then it felt like there was much more energy in the beginning than there was for the rest of it.
yeah,
So then it kind of dies out a little bit. There's this really interesting thing I think with music versus visuals is that with visuals, I think they have a longer shelf life. Like visual, you can make something that's really intense and make it on the edge of your seat, and you can keep watching that and keep feeling that.
yeah,
But with audio, if you have something that's really intense and dissonant and crazy, after a while it stops becoming uncomfortable. And so I think with
yeah,
music, we have to keep sort of changing it and evolving it in order to maintain the same feeling. Um, so yeah, but I think like soundscape, the production on it's awesome. So yeah, like Archie was saying, I'm not sure how the approach was for this. Maybe if you're a producer and this is an original song and something you've made, and then you're kind of adapting it for more of a trailer track, that could be really cool and you've got a great bed. So I would think just like now increase the energy kind of and give us more of like a build up and a climax.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think that idea of like a song for a trailer is actually something that's like starting to happen. I mean, the one that I think of is for the Dune trailer. I know they had, I think it was Eclipse by Pink Floyd, like a version of that, and that like kind of grabbed me instantly because it was like, oh, I know Pink Floyd, and this is not just normal trailer music. So yeah, I love that idea. That was a great take on it, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of come and gone. Like it used to be a lot more common as well,
Yeah,
and I think it sort of comes in waves.
yeah,
Um, but there's a great sort of spoof on this, like on YouTube. If you look up, I don't know, trailer music spoof, somebody's kind of just making fun of the structure of what we
yeah.
expect, and part of that is like remix of some pop song,
Right,
and
yeah, yeah,
something
definitely.
like that.
Yeah,
Um, but so it definitely works. But I think like that, I think the approach is really good, and the production on this one is particularly good.
yeah, I think so
Um,
too. Yeah,
so yeah, really nice job with that.
great. Well, that thank you so much, Mike. That was our little
Yeah, my
that,
pleasure.
yeah, great. That was our little chat about the QTube clip from our Patreon, the Terminator trailer, which we edited together. You can go to the QTube Patreon for as little as £1 a month. You can access these videos, which is a great deal. And on the higher tiers, you can get some temp music that I've written and the individual sound design files and that kind of thing. So yeah, cool. Mike, any parting words?
Just thanks for having me. I am always happy to do things with the QTube. So you can find, I've done a couple master classes with the QTube. Feel free to look through their YouTube channel. You can
Yeah,
find that. And as well as with my online course and my academy, there's a special affiliate discount for the QTube. And so for members of the QTube, you get a discount on the course. Yeah.
awesome.
So always happy to support the QTube. I think it's a really great thing. What Brian has sort of started and put together, and what Archie does a lot with as well.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
Yeah, Brian creating it, it's just great. I mean, like, I found it when I was just starting as a composer too, which was, great. All right, cheers. Thank you so much, Mike. Cheers, man.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Cool.